What's good, everyone? Brian's Black Bag here with another video. So the last video I did looked and felt a little low budget. So we're gonna try this out and see how it works. Continue experimenting, continue improving and playing around. So I recently wrote a blog piece that this video is gonna parallel. That was pretty blunt. Basically, no one gives a shit where you go to college. And so we're gonna elaborate on that a little bit. And so why do I say that? There are a lot of reasons. So there is no amount of prestige in a university. I don't care where you go. I don't care if you go to Harvard. That is not going to surpass a subpar application. There's just simply no way to get around that. So people don't care where you went to school, for the most part. They care what you bring to the table, what experiences you have, your resume, all of that, yada, yada, yada. And so when you are thinking about a pre-med institution, spoiler alert, there's no such thing as the perfect pre-med school. Surprise, surprise. There's, however, the perfect pre-med school for you, which is what we're going to get into and dive into in this video. So first of all, you need to consider your own happiness. And why do I say that? Well, first of all, let's step back. So what does that mean? That's different for everyone. So basically, this just revolves around your passions. What do you like to do? What makes you happy? What makes you smile? How do you define yourself? All those kinds of fuzzy questions. And so the reason I say that is because you want to be somewhere where all of those passions, and since you're interested in medicine, I'm going to assume that they revolve around that to some degree. You want to be somewhere where all those passions can run wild and free, and you're allowed to flourish, and you're not stifled in any way, because then you're going to be unhappy, and it's just going to be a chore, and you're not going to build the necessary resume to get into medical school, and you're going to dread the process, and it's going to suck, and no one wants that. So you need to be happy. And, for me, this was tennis. I wanted to play tennis in college. I was not skilled enough to play at a Division I school, which actually ended up being great because probably all I would have done at a Division I school is play tennis, and I don't think I would be in medical school right now. So I played at a top-notch D3 school, and it was a wonderful outlet for me, and it led to a bunch of other opportunities that it's kind of beyond the scope of this video. We'll get into that at some other point. So, number one, you want to be happy. You want your passions to run wild and be uninhibited. That's going to give you the best chance at success. All right, number two, second thing to consider. Fortunately, finances are a bit of a bitch. So school is very expensive nowadays, and whatever your take on that may be, how to improve upon it, that reality exists. So undergrad is expensive. Medical school is no less cheap, and everyone is in a different circumstance, having different degrees of help. Maybe they don't have to worry about debt. Maybe they are covering absolutely everything by themselves. And so the reason I'm saying this is because if you're posed with the option of going to a more prestigious but more expensive out-of-state private school, in-state private school, whatever, versus the traditional state school route, you should I would advise you to strongly lean towards the state school route, because I can't imagine a state school in this country where your opportunities in education is going to be lacking that much in comparison, and the cost differential is just unparalleled. And the only exception to this would be going back to passions. If there's a reason that you really want to attend that private school that may be more expensive, that investment in your own happiness, in my mind, is totally worth it. So that would be a reason to ignore that advice. And then also, don't overlook community colleges. I know so many pre-meds who went that route. They went to community college, they busted their ass in school. I mean, there weren't a lot of distractions since all their friends had gone elsewhere. Busted their ass in school for the MCAT, extracurriculars, got into medical school, and they worked too, so they had a much different debt profile than someone who may have gone a different route. Do not overlook that path and think that you're too good for that, because you certainly are not. You could definitely reap lots of benefits going that direction. All right, so we have the less fun things out of the way. I can't read my own handwriting here. Okay, so fit. What is fit? It's probably after you consider the initial things that most people consider when they think about colleges. Do I want to go to a big school? Do I want to go to a small school? Do I want to be close to home, far away from home? Do I want friends? Do I want to know absolutely nobody? Um, do I want them to have a big sports presence, like a Big Ten school, whatever? So after you get kind of those things out of the way, some of that will revolve and factor into fit. Will fit into fit, so to speak. So you need to ask yourself what you want out of college, and this kind of gets back to your passions. What are the things you want to pursue? How do you want to change? Who do you want to become? So that's, in my mind, fit, and how you fit into the mold of a school, and how that school will shape you and allow you to become the person you want to be. So that is really the primary consideration, not aspiring to and trying to find this perfect pre-med institution. You need to find your perfect pre-med school, which is the one that you will fit into seamlessly, or almost seamlessly. And so with respect to grades, so I know I kind of keep bashing so-called prestigious institutions over state schools, yada, yada, yada. But again, there are going to be very few schools in the country where your education is going to suffer that much in comparison to your other options. And when you think about grades, there's a couple different things to consider. So, grade inflation does exist, and so if you are going to go to someplace that's more rigorous, odds are if you get into that school, you're totally capable of rising to that challenge. But your grades may suffer a little bit. Or not suffer, they just may be lower in comparison had you gone to a less rigorous institution. And this is looked at by admissions committees, but to what degree is difficult to say. But, honestly, at the end of the day, the MCAT is a standardizing thing. Everyone takes it. You're weighted against each other, so it kind of balances this out and gives admissions committees a way to directly compare applicants that come from different academic backgrounds. So I would not let that phase you or factor into your decision much. The MCAT will be your ticket. It'll be, like I said, a completely standardizing facet of the pre-med application. And then as far as if you would be better prepared for it at one school versus another, honestly, schools don't teach to the MCAT. The minority of science kids at a particular institution are going to go the medicine route. You don't take a chemistry class to become a physician. In college, they're teaching you about chemistry because they think you want to be a chemist, and that's what they're teaching you, as they should. So your base really is not going to be that different. Studying for the MCAT is a unique animal in itself, and you should not let that worry you or dissuade you one way or another. You're going to have to put the work in no matter what route you go. So don't let that weigh on you. And again, if you watch my video about how I went from the 50th percentile to the 90th percentile on the MCAT, I show that it's really something you can tackle independent of any curriculum. It can be something that is learned and conquered. So don't worry about it. And then just another thing in comparing big versus small, more rigorous versus less rigorous, you have to evaluate the opportunities that may be there. So at a bigger school, there may be more opportunities, but it may be harder to find those given just the overwhelming number in the student population. And then it's a school that's more rigorous, maybe it's more difficult to get those opportunities. You have to be at the top of the class, whatever. But again, if you are getting into that more rigorous school, you are capable of that challenge. So do not shy away from it. And then, where was I going? Lost my train of thought. But at the end of the day, you can be successful wherever you go. That is what that's what the original blog piece was all about. That's what this video is all about. You can carve out your own successful path. You can create your opportunities. If opportunities do not exist at your given school, you can seek them out. If you don't have a very robust research institution, you can go spend a summer elsewhere, somewhere else in the country, in their lab, doing this and that and getting publications, yada, yada, yada. If it's the clinical element that's not there, I'm sure you can find a preceptor that would love to function as a mentor, that would love to have a student. Just finding these opportunities, creating them for yourself, and being persistent is something that you should totally do and pride yourself on. And honestly, someone who creates these opportunities for themselves, they're going to be that much more meaningful, both to you, because it's going to be a more heartfelt experience, but also it's just going to look much better than someone who had all these kind of things lined up for him. It just shows hunger and tenacity and how bad you really want this. You tell them that something didn't exist and you wanted it, so you went out and created it. That looks absolutely amazing. So again, doesn't matter where you went to school. Admissions committees don't give a shit about that. They care about what you bring to the table. They care about your resume. They care about the opportunities you've created for yourself and how you've capitalized on that. So don't stress over this decision. Know that you're going to be successful wherever you go, and then just make it happen. All right, so that concludes this. If you like what I had to say, if you want to know when the next video is posted, the next blog piece is posted, follow me on all my socials down below. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next week.